Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief. Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sorry about that on the echo, my brothers and sisters. Sorry about that on the echo. I meant to take it off the loop. Peace and blessings. If you don't know me, I'm going to tell you who I am. I'm Preacher Moss, the host of the SOS, the ShOUT Show. We are doing episode number 616. Don't tell us we can't get out here and be consistent, brothers and sisters. We are doing it every day. And it comes, of course, with the help of our sponsors, but also comes with the help and love and support of the beloved ShOUT crew, the ShOUT Show family, if you will. So listen, let's get into a little bit what we're going to be talking about today. This is Mind Power Day. This is talking about harnessing positivity. Now, a lot of people are going to talk about positivity and they're going to have their own philosophies. Mine is a little bit of a business narrative, but it's also from a wellness narrative as well. A lot of people talk about being positive, and sometimes they confuse it with being happy. Positive does not necessarily mean that you're happy. Happy does not necessarily mean that you're positive. We're talking about particular constraints in the aspect of mental awareness and emotional awareness. Now, I'm going to break that down, if you will, as much as I can today, and we're just gonna, we're gonna make some discoveries. I'm gonna bring out some concepts that you may or may not deal with. Everybody deals with their own space of positivity, but we're going to use a term that I have in mind for a lot. When I work with the NFL, one of the terms that I use in transition services, working as a consultant for transition services with professional athletes, the question was, coming up out of professional athlete, being in professional sports, going into professional sports, are you power positive? Let me tell you what I mean by power positive. Are you power positive? Meaning that your positivity has movement to it. I have to. Sorry about this. I got to. Sound like I'm on the air. I'm going to call you back in 25 minutes. Okay. I bet. Yeah, no, thank you, man. I'm actually on the show. This is Omar Regan, so hold on, everybody. I'm going to call you back. All right. So, like, my man Omar Regan talking about power positive. That brother is one of the most optimistic, power positive people that I know. I've watched him go through a lot of things in his personal life, in his business life, in his family life. And one thing I can say about Omar is he has framed, if you will, a bit of a formula in terms of how he's able to move things forward in his life, in his business life, and in his spiritual life, in his religious life. So it's just coincidence that he called because I'm dealing with a situation right now where it requires me to be power positive. So this space, brothers and sisters, we haven't really explored it as much as I would have liked to. But today I'm going to take an opportunity and I'm going to ask you to be patient with me because parts of this, it's not a linear conversation. It doesn't go A, B, C, D, E. Just the same way positivity does not go A, B, C, D, E. I have a certain amount of strategies that I'm going to talk about. There will be one or two stories that maybe we may gravitate to that we'll talk about, but I'm going to make this thing workable, if you will. I'm going to make it a situation, a scenario whereby everybody can actually begin to frame their model on what they see themselves as, because positivity is really about a mirror, if you will. It's a mirror about where your spirit is. It's a mirror about what your capacity to deal with things are. How you went into a situation, whether it be a chaotic situation, a business situation, a family situation, a relationship issue. Being power positive is probably one of the things that's it's established me as a comedian, but it's also helped me establish myself in my own life with how I deal with my family and people around me. All right, so don't move, brothers and sisters. We're talking about harnessing positivity, but we're really also talking about what? Are you power positive? Be right back. All right, we're back. So before we get started, we got to make sure we bring our power positive people into the stream. We got to introduce them. These are, of course, these are Shout Out Show families, but I could actually rename them the Power Positive team, the Power Positive family. We just did Shout Out Show early on, and it stuck. Okay, first off, we got Sister Ree. How you doing, Sister Ree? Hope that you're having a Power Positive Wednesday. You know we love and miss you on the show when you're not here, but when you're here, we definitely do appreciate you. Please, peace and blessings to, of course, your husband, peace and blessings to Juan and all your relatives that are spread out all over the United States that always seem to recognize when they need positivity in life, they call Sister Reed. We appreciate you. Thanks so much for coming on the show. All right. And talk about power positive. My mom shocked me today, telling me she was driving. I'm like, what are you talking about, Sister Mary? Well, before I get that, assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh. Mama San, thank you so much. Talking about another example of power positive. My mother has, she has some health issues, but it's interesting to see how each time she's able to frame it. We've talked about issues of long-term health, when people have long-term health issues and how it affects the spirit, the mental capacity. And it's just interesting to see the energy that my mom has at, how old are you, Mom? She's 22. That means when I was born, I was 6. I'm just kidding. But she has the positivity, and it does. There's something about being power positive that we're going to have to talk about today. Altaf Rashid, wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear beloved brother, how are you doing? It's 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. Our Canadian envoy to the show. We appreciate you being on here. One of our day ones. Altaf has been a supporter of the SOS for quite a long time, man. We appreciate you. But everybody here is a day one. Everybody on the show is a day one. And I'm going to tell you guys a little story about being positive, about I'm going to give you a story about being power positive in regards to the Shout Out Show and how things work out. All right. Good to see you, brother. Shout out to Toronto. All right, brother Eric. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh, beloved. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. We're gonna have to figure out a show everybody can just come in the stream and we can talk to one another. Maybe that'll be the newest advancement with StreamYard, where we can actually have a conference and everybody can get in and I can bring people on. I want to have a show where I can actually interview people and people from the Shout Out Show family. If you find out how they're doing, what they're up to, anything that they're working on, anything, special events. And if you are part of the Shout Out Show family, please share your joy. If you have something positive, tell us, share your joy. And if there's something that you're going through, you know what? Let us be the resource that we're supposed to be. As brothers and sisters, make sure that you're doing all right. All right. Good to see you. My main man, what's up, big brother? Bala Salahuddin, what's going on? Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh. Okay, you with the queen today. Shout out to Sister Sonia. Sister Sonia, I'm here to tell you, when you're not with that man, he sounds like BB King, Muddy Waters, and Coco Taylor. Every Black blues singer you ever saw. That boy's sad when you're gone. Thank you so much for being here. We're tired of Blah blues when you're not around. All right, Blah, I had to do that. I appreciate you. Thank y'all so much for supporting the show. You know it's much love. Okay. And my little brother. How can I forget my little brother? My sidekick. You talk about a day one. This is brother Johnny L. Thomas, better known as JT. What's going on, JT? I got your thing with Mr. Farrakhan on it. Very powerful, very truthful. I appreciate you sending those little messages as reminders to me. I appreciate it. And I would encourage everybody, seek advice, seek people who are power positive in your life. They don't have to necessarily agree with you. And that's the thing we're going to be talking about. Power positive people, you don't necessarily have to agree with them, but you got to respect what that energy is. Got to respect what that energy is. So let's go on and get into this today. Harnessing positivity, brothers and sisters, is much the same as putting something in a bank. When I say putting something in the bank, what I mean is an investment. We heard terms, or we've utilized terms like rainy day, putting away money for a rainy day or something like that. You have to put away positivity for a rainy day. You have to take these good times that you have, whether they're a lot of good times or the good times are scarce. You have to take them and you have to invest them someplace. And not just invest them, but you have to you have to harvest. You have to harvest positivity. Now, what am I saying? I've learned that sometimes in life that you understand and you can forecast when it's going to be a difficult time. You can look at the tea leaves in your life and realize it's going to be a difficult time, whether it's going to be a loved one getting sick, whether it's going to be financial problems, whether it's education problems, job problems, marriage problems, relationship problems. Here's the deal. Don't scope all of those as negative emotions. They're not negative emotions. How you address them, that determines whether it's going to be negative or positive. Now, I don't want to sound cliche, like you got to have a positive attitude. No, you can't do it all the time. You can't do it all the time. When you are deliberately working on being positive, that's when you are power positive, meaning that you framed how positivity works for you. People don't like to say this, but positivity sells. Positivity as an emotion is one of the most sought after and highly valued and well paid traits in people in business. What am I saying? I'm saying that people will seek out positive folks. The whole idea about celebrity is the celebrity presenting the best of themselves. And they attract people who believe that that's who they want to be, or that's who I want to be around. And the lure could be talent, looks, money, whatever, but there's a lure there. What you have to realize is that you have the same lure, that you have the same ability to be power positive in a very meaningful way, that your power is impactful in different situations, impactful in places that are prestigious, impactful places that are starved for attention and resources. It does not matter. Your power positivity is broad. Now, I have to say this, and this might be a little bit tough to follow, but just follow me. I learned throughout the years, particularly with one of my mentors, Reginald Kitchen, may Allah be blessed, with my big brother. We would talk about how you had to pad your positivity. We knew every day ain't gonna be a good day. And if you were doing a numerical count, if positive days were $5 and negative days were $7, then you gotta pile up as many $5 days as you can, because when the $7 hits, and it's gonna hit, it can't deplete you. It can't deplete you. One of the major reasons people are sad these days is because they have a sense of helplessness. They believe that they can't do anything in the environment around them, that they are subject to the environment. Being power positive means that you know that you can affect the environment. The whole idea of being, I want to say, an extrovert or even an introvert doesn't matter if you understand that the power lies within to look at situations. There are opportunities in life if you will look at situations and inject yourself into situations. This is great for business. This is great for the spirit. But a lot of people are tied into this thing of failure. That somehow, if you're not positive and you go through the motions, then you are a failure. You have to separate the pea from the pod. Positivity is one, attitude; two, objectifying things; and three, actionable effort. When I mean by actionable effort, I mean that people can see it, people can feel it. There is the announcement before you come. There's an announcement that you're on your way. That people, when they hear your name, go, oh, and that causes some type of a reaction, if you will. In the metaphysical world, it causes some type of reaction that changes the DNA towards you, or changes the DNA of that person in a particular situation. They go, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I want to be a part of that. You know, the role of the preacher and the rabbi and the imam, The role of all of them is to, in a Godspeed type of way, reflect the power of being positive. In many regards, establish the mosque or the church or the synagogue as a place that is power positive. Now, we legitimately have questions and we have concerns about the number of people who are not in the masjid or the church or the synagogue. And the reason we have those questions is we've gone from this whole idea of being power positive to being positive and present, which means that only when I'm present can I be positive. Only when people see me is when I turn it on. Being power positive is interesting because it goes beyond you. When people have conversations with your name in it, they perk up. When people think about engagement that they have with you, they perk up. And this is not on a stratosphere or somebody's a superstar, da da da. I can think of people who are power positive in my life, and I will smile and think of those folks. And they weren't rich, and they weren't famous. They weren't all of that. They didn't give me money. They shared their effervescence. I watched there be power positive around other people to the point I was like, this is amazing. Some people call it magnetism and stuff like that. You can call it that. But I'm talking about something that people have worked at. So it's so refined and it's so nuanced and it's so engaging that it's just natural. And my hope for all of us is that we work on it to the point where it's just natural. We don't come off as pompous. We don't come off as arrogant. We don't come off as contrite. We don't come off as anything. Because the funny part is the person who's really, 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 really power positive, the more they're power positive, the more they just look like regular people. You have to fight in your mind and say that that person sees themselves. They don't see that positivity coming off of them. They know they're putting in, but they don't know what the results are. They don't know who they reflect. They don't know who they affect. They don't know who they impact. They don't have time. And that's the thing about being power positive. It should alleviate you from the pressures and anxiety of time. You are part of the universe. Clearly, I feel like I'm a part of the universe. I try to be power positive as much as I can, to the point where my sarcasm is funny to me. My sarcasm is funny to me because I know in the end, I want for my brother, I want for my sister, for them to be successful, for them to be happy, and for them to be engaging and in possession of joy. So listen, we're going to take a quick break. Hang in there. We're going to talk about being power positive. Again, harnessing positivity. I'm going to give you guys some clues on some things. So you might want to go ahead and get your pen and paper, because the last segment is going to be a barn burner. We'll be right back. Hey, babies. Welcome to Radio WCUC, Convenient Urgent Care, home of the smart patient. This is DJ What It Do. You know what time it is. It's the top of the hour, and the request lines are open. You know what you want to hear. I know what you want to hear. Operators are waiting.
I just got to hear Don't Get the COVID.
Don't get the COVID. Put your mask back on. The Delta COVID, more contagious than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get the vaccine. You know that it can keep you safe, and your people living up in your space. Don't get the COVID. You need to wash your hands. The Delta COVID is more deadly than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get your vaccine. You know that it can keep you from dying. Don't leave your family all alone and crying. Don't get the COVID.
We invite you to join our fight against COVID and against misinformation. It's time to listen to the doctors and trust the science.
When I think of people dying that don't have to die, it makes me sad. Now is the time to be sober. Together we can make this thing over. Let's fight the COVID. Convenient urgent care, home of the smart patient.
All right, we're back. So you actually watched an example and of artistic expression of being power positive. That's the ad we do for convenient urgent care. We took the idea of flipping around something like COVID and looking in the spaces of where people were having a difficult time with COVID. One of the things that people were having a difficult time with COVID was the fact that you didn't really know where it was. You didn't know where you could pick it up. It was like this thing flowing around. And I said before, and I said to my good friend at Jazz, I said, instead of trying to do a whole thing about it, I said, why don't we lighten the mood and inform people that they are informed? Let people know that you've been doing good things to avoid COVID. That the power positive aspect of it is that we're all intelligent about this whole thing. As much as we can be informed, that's a better situation, better society in dealing with this pandemic. And that's what we did. Let's see here. I've got a comment. It said, real positivity cannot be fake. False positivity cannot be hidden. That's true. That's true. But people will fake positivity. They'll fake it for the photo op. They'll fake it to get what they want. People are selfish. So even if you have real positivity, you'll find people who are selfish and are looking, if you will, to somehow draw from that positivity for their own selfish needs and selfish gains. This is from the beginning of time. But what I've learned, comedy has been a boon for me in many ways. It's a growing experience. I've been a comedian since I was 17 years old. And so you figure from 17 to this time now, you have to understand that there's been some dips. There are things that happen on stage that were difficult, traumatic. There are things that happen off stage that were difficult, traumatic. And what I've learned, courtesy of family, courtesy of this religion, is I learned to pad my positivity. If I know somebody's going to bust through the door, I have to put something against that door that's weighty, has substance. I put positivity. People can't get through that door. They might be able to put some pressure on it, but they can't get to it. And what I learned is when things are very, very positive, that's when you value it more. The people talk about things you could do. They have these lists, things you should do for positive things you can do. One, they used to say, well, one thing you do to be positive, always be 5 things to be grateful for. Things you are grateful for. I'd like to add in, don't just settle for things you are grateful for. Investigate, dissect why you are grateful for these things, why you should be grateful for these things. Expand the narrative on and very, very positive experiences. And then you'll find that they're not positive experiences. They are empowering experiences. So again, being power positive is empowering people with your positivity, but also empowering yourself. I have this metaphor about putting in like a floor, like you have a floor, right? They're going to be weak parts of the floor, right? They're going to be very strong parts of the floor, weak parts of the floor. And what I learned is like when you put positivity on the floor, like flooring, it has a pattern. You have to lay it a certain way. When it's laid a certain way, the correct way, the parts of the floor that are weak now have more strength. And the parts that are weak, if they're weak, they will let you know they're weak because it might be a sound or a creak, or it's not perfectly level. It will let you know that. And it gives you, I want to say, some insight and some perspective on how you straighten that floor out. I call it the trapdoor method. I said there's going to be trapdoors. Let this positivity be right here. But if I have to go through a trapdoor, let it be when I get here, there's more positivity. You see, positivity in terms of being power positive is from the ground up. That's why people at the top, when they try and pull positivity, it never works. You can learn this trait. You can institute this. This is nothing new. But you have to commit at certain levels that I'm going to be power positive, that I'm going to look at situations. Sometimes I look at other people's situation and I say, that person should be positive about X, Y, and Z. That it's a much more selfless act, if you will. And sometimes when you see that person should be positive, if they're having a hard time getting there, sometimes I will help. You guys have done this before. Sometimes we will help. I will see people who are engaged in trying to be positive, and they may not be able to get over the hump. But because I have so much positivity in the bank, I've invested, I can share. I have more positivity and I didn't have know what to do with. I can share. I can disseminate. I can distribute. And when you get out in the world and you find these people that are extremely dynamic and people say that they're hyper positive, they're not hyper positive. They're hyper effective, but how they distribute and share positivity with the people around them. Just like, it's a wellness. We always say, and I say this oftentimes, that one of the greatest tricks of the devil is getting the human being to believe that God's love is limited. That God has a time limit on his love. His love is only 1 out of 500. That if you don't hurry up and get in line, you ain't gonna get no love from God. That Allah closes down his, like read from 5 Heartbeats. My business hours are 9 to 5. It doesn't work like that, but we begin to see that. See, when you are power positive, you don't even think about time. You don't think about time. It's not the engagement that you have to deal with anymore. You are superlative in your thinking, because everything that the world gives you is simply looking for a reaction. And if you think about it, the things that we go through, hardships and stuff like that, it is largely about how we decide to address this thing, how we decide to inject ourselves in a situation. Part of positivity, and I'll wrap up on this in a minute, it's part of really, really establishing positivity or being power positive is that you take the time to understand your situation or the situation that are brought to you. To be power positive speaks to the fact that you have to use heightened levels of discernment and looking around at the world and saying, hey, yes, I want to engage in that. No, I don't want to engage in that. But at the same time, being open. Being power positive does not mean that you let people run roughshod over your life. It does not work that way. It requires discernment because you are investing in your positivity. The world is not. All right, so that's our show today. We will be back tomorrow. Shout out. It is official. We will be doing the Preacher Moss Muslim Comedy Festival in Washington, D.C. It will be a live taping at Union Stage in Southwest Washington on August the 11th. Hope to see you there. Everybody in the D.C. metropolitan area, I'm hoping you're going to come out. This is going to be a fun time, and I am looking so forward to it. This is something I've been working on for quite a few months since the beginning of the year, and we are here. Allah's blessed us, and I just want to share that with you guys. So let me give some shout outs real quickly. BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Go to them. UsUp.tv. Go to them. Van Islamic Graduate School. Check them out at vanonline.org. Also, we're going to give a shout out to ConvenientUrgentCare.com, or just go to ConvenientUrgent.com. Shout out to them with 3 locations in the Houston area. And I want to make sure we give a shout out and some love to Islamic Relief USA. All right, everybody, that's our show. See you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.